Okay, hello and good morning everyone. Welcome to JFD Brokers Traders Espresso with me, Darius Munchauskas. Today is the 25th of September 2018. So welcome everyone. Welcome to this Tuesday's morning session where we're going to have a look at a few instruments I believe are developing and moving quite interestingly. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimers. So guys, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest and we can continue. Okay, so now let's jump into the charts. Now the first one I want to touch on, guys, is the Shanghai composite. Now this one was pointed out by one of my colleagues here, and actually, to be honest, it's quite developing nicely. And as you can see here by this daily chart, we have been trading here below this downside resistance line taken from the peak of the 29th of January. So quite an important line here. As you can see, since then, for about almost 8 months, the index continued to trade lower, and now we finally managed to break it to the upside here. So, and this break happened on Friday. So as you can see now, we're staying here. We closed above that level, and also we're now testing this key important area of resistance near the 2792 mark. Now certainly keep your eyes on that one. As you can see, the index kind of slightly retraced back to the downside, but still it's hanging around above this downside resistance line. So for now, all eyes are on this line right now, on the 2792, because if we do get a nice break here and a close above that level, then, well, we could expect a potential move higher here towards the next good area of resistance seen near the 2916 level. So the 2916 just proved itself to be quite an important area of resistance here. Around the 26th of July, and so we could see another possible test of that level again. So keep your eyes on this one for now. Like I said, judging by this, until we're hanging around above this downside resistance line, this is looking quite positive, and it's looking, to be honest, more to the upside. So for now, like I said, keep your eyes. Of course, let's not rush into this yet. Let's get this confirmation break again above the 2792, and if we see something like this, then yep, could potentially position ourselves for a possible move higher here. Now on the downside, as you probably understand, if we get back below this downside resistance line, if we close below that level, below that line here, we could start aiming for these levels that we saw here earlier on. The first good potential area of support could be seen around the 2695, marked here by the inside swing high that we saw around the middle of September. And of course, if that doesn't hold, well, further declines could be possible, and we could see a move towards the 2640 zone. So which the 2640 proved to be itself a very nice area of support here, which we saw around the 17th of September. So for now, guys, of course, this is looking more positive, more bullish than bearish, so the downside could be slightly off the table. But then again, like I said, be very cautious here, and before we start aiming for higher levels, we need to see this good confirmation break above the 2792 in order to kind of get comfortable with the upside. Let's jump into one crypto that one of the most popular ones, of course. As you can see, the cryptos are getting a bit of a retracement here after having a good week last week. So judging by this daily chart here on Ethereum, we can see that it broke this, also broke this downside resistance line taken from the peak of the 6th of May, but as you can see, it broke it to the upside, and now we're seeing a bit of retracement back to the downside. And this is where it's interesting, because it's testing the line from above. And to be honest, if the bulls see this as a perfect opportunity to start jumping in, they could see this as a nice bouncing ground. There's like a trampoline basically for possible move higher. Now if we do get something like this, then it's great. I mean, we could see follow through here to the upside, where we could aim for the initially aim for the 300 level, and then of course a little bit higher towards the next potential area of resistance around the 318.50. So that level here was seen last time. It was seen around the 18th of August. Now for those who are, let's say, less risky, probably ideal scenario here is to probably wait until we get closer towards these highs that we saw last week, and that's around the 248 mark. Now if we would get to that point here and we start breaking that level, well, this is, like I said, this is where we could start getting more comfortable with the upside, and we could potentially see this one driving all the way higher towards the 300 initially, and then towards the 322. I actually do apologize. I need to kind of reiterate that that was not the 318.50 that I was talking about earlier. It's the 322 mark. Now this has been the high of the 18th of August, so keep your eyes on that, guys. We could see, like I said, we could see some follow through to the upside. Well, on the downside, if this suddenly gets back down here, now certainly be very cautious. Just to kind of show you something else here, guys, this is a small I didn't want to put it on the chart just not to kind of confuse everybody, but this is the spot where where Ethereum is trading right now. So you can see that we do have this very short-term upside support line. It's a bit of a more maybe like a tentative one, so don't really strongly rely on it, but again, this is a nice crossroad where the crypto is trading at right now. And if we do get a break here below, now this could lead to maybe further declines here to the downside, where we're gonna see the 200s again, or even actually going back down below the 200 level. So for now, keep your eyes on this, keep your eyes on this crossroad. And like I said, we could potentially see a reversal, but again, for us to get comfortable with the upside, we need to see a good strong break above the 250 zone, approximately there. Okay, let's jump into a few pairs now. So the one that I really wanted to touch on, and that's EURCHF. Now the EURCHF also is building up and positioning itself quite nicely, because as you can see here, we've been trading here below this downside resistance line taken from the peak of the 16th of July, and it can till yesterday actually. So yesterday we saw this nice break through that line, where we also closed, well, not only we closed above the downside resistance line, but we also closed above this level here that I had marked, and that was around the 113.12 level, so approximately there. Of course, for those who want to round it up towards a much nicer number of 113.15, yep, nevertheless, we still got a nice close above that, and now we're seeing a continuation here to the upside. We're currently breaking this other key level of resistance around the 113.45 zone, and of course, if this continues to push higher, the next potential area to watch is the 114.10, and slightly above that we do have the 114.55 marked by the high that we saw around the 28th of August. So so for now, keep your eyes on the upside. Certainly, like I said, at the moment it's looking quite bullish, and to be honest, overall, looking at, well, from the near-term perspective, we could see a continuation here to the upside, where we could aim for higher levels. On the downside, again, similar story as with the previous instruments. We need to see a good reversal back down below this downside resistance line, and only then we could start aiming for these previous lows that we saw around the 112.20 or even the 111.85, so approximately there. So keep your eyes on that, guys. let's jump into GBPUSD quickly now. And GBPUSD is, well, is a bit of a tricky one. Certainly it had a good run last week, and we saw this one climbing higher, and you know, it reached nicely this key area here, the 132.95, or actually the 133 zone. So we managed to hit that, the levels near that level, and you know, near that barrier. So, and we also can see that the currency pair found its resistance also near the 200 EMA, so it's like a perfect rejection here, from which you can see on Friday we had this sharp slide to the downside. Certainly, as you know, the news were coming out from UK, and yep, the market kind of took that as a bearish signal and sold off. So it found its support near the 130.55 mark. This is where yesterday we saw this bounce back, a bit of a correction to the upside. Also managed to reach the 100 EMA here, shown as the green line, and now we're kind of seeing a bit of again some weakness coming in. Certainly this is going to be quite interesting to see, because for now we're just going to observe this one, and if we're going to see a nice move back down here towards the 130.55 zone, now this is where it could become interesting, because a nice close, a break, initially a break and then a close below this 130.55 could open the path towards the 130.25, and then of course if that doesn't hold, well, guess what, I mean, this could be opening the path towards even lower levels. So the levels last seen around the the beginning of September, yep, so a good one to watch could be the 128.70, or even better, slightly below that, or should I say slightly below that, is the 127.85, marked by the low that we saw around the 5th of September. So keep your eyes on that one, guys. Certainly at the moment it's a bit of a tricky one. On the upside, well, looking at the 4-hour chart, actually, on this one, on the upside, we would need to see a good reversal here, back up here, and a break of the 131.65 mark, approximately there. So that was near the highs that we saw yesterday, and if you do get a nice break here above this level, then yep, we could aim for higher levels. But for now, just be very careful. As you can see from this 4-hour chart, you can see that there is some weakness kicking in here, so be very careful. And for now, probably stay neutral and just keep your eyes on these key levels that I was just talking about. On the downside, the 130.55, and on the upside, the 131.65. And the last pair that I really wanted to touch on, and that's USDCAD. Let me just quickly jump back into the daily chart on this one. And as you can see, we last week, the pair managed to travel all the way down here, where it found support near the 128.80 zone, certainly from which it got rejected and moved back up. So now we're seeing this continuation here to the upside. So the big question here is this going to be, is this just a correction, or are we actually going to move higher from here? Now, certainly be very careful with this one, because again, like I said, it's very tricky right now. And if we do draw something like this, now certainly this would probably tell us that yes, we could be possibly positioning ourselves for a correction back to the upside here. But for us to get, let's say, more comfortable with the upside on from the short-term perspective, we will need to see a nice good break and a close here above the 129.75, and this way we could potentially aim then for slightly higher resistance levels. The first one, good one to watch, could be this one, the 130.15, approximately there, and the next one could be around the 130.65. So keep your eyes on that one. So, like I said, for now, again, it's very tricky, but this line here that I drawn this the downside resistance line, it's a bit of a more of a tentative one, to be honest, so that don't fully rely on it. So just keep your eyes on the key support and resistance levels. That's probably a safer way. And again, looking at this 129.75, as you can see, if we would get a nice break here above this level, then this would also place the pair above the 50 EMA, looking at this 4-hour chart, of course, where the next potential target, like I said, could be this 100 EMA, or slightly above that, the 130.15. On the downside, for us to get comfortable with the downside, jumping back into the daily chart, we would need to see a good break here and a close below the 128.80, and this is how we could then position ourselves for the possible move towards the lows seen on around the 31st of May. That's approximately around the 128.15, or even actually lower, going down towards the 127.30, and that was the low of the 11th of May. So again, like I said, for now, don't rush into this. Wait for a good confirmation. Again, on the downside, the good confirmation could be a break below the 128.80, and on the upside, from the short-term perspective, with a good break above the 129.75 could lead towards these slightly higher levels that we saw in the first half of September. Okay guys, I hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for watching and listening, and if you want to join me later on, my Traders Tea Time, and that's 13:15 GMT, 14:15 British Summer Time. But for now, thank you very much, and bye bye.